Hola mi gente, welcome back to Cat and Too Many Books. I'm Kat and I'm glad you're here today. I am going to get right into it because this usually tends to be a very long video from what I see, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the 25 books I would like to read in 2025. Some of the books on this are books I actually had last year as well and never got to them. So I am employing a bit of a read it or on haul sort of caveat on this. Quite a few of these books, I'm going to have that caveat. If I don't read it, I'm just gonna have to let it go because some of them have been on my TBR for a really long time. So for those that have been on my TBR for a while, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll talk about that in another video at some point. But yes, so now we can just get right into it. And I've seen all of this going around a lot, and I love everybody's choices. I love seeing what everybody's wanting to get off their TBR in the year, and these are the ones for me. Some of these are newer on my TBR. Some of these have been on for a really long time, but all of these are books that I really truly want to read. So let me go ahead and start with a couple of the tomes I have. I've got a couple here, beginning with Andy Weir and the Project Hail Mary, which, to be fair, I've started before and had to stop. I've really enjoyed this book. There's nothing wrong with the book itself. I love it. I've actually really loved it. It's just somehow, some way, I just have managed to have to stop reading it when I started reading it. So this is definitely in my TBR. I have read about 100 and I want to say 50 or 60 pages of it already. I'm going to get the audiobook so I can reread that part, and then I want to complete it in the physical form. But that is number one, or that is the first one I want to talk about. It's probably not my number one, but it's definitely the first one we're talking about today. Next, and it's another tome, big book. It's a big one. Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez, which is translated by Megan McDowell. This is a translated work of horror, and from what I remember, it is about a son and a father who have lost their mother and wife respectively and go back home to, I think, her family, I guess after her death, I guess in the process of grieving or whatever, and it turns out her family's different. And yeah, that's all I really know about it. Next on my list here is The Science of Murder, The Forensics of Agatha Christie by Carla Valentine. I got this, I think not this Christmas, but the Christmas before, and it is literally about the sort of forensics behind all the murders in Agatha Christie novels. I think I've read quite a few Agatha Christie novels, so I'm going to need to sort of take a look and see if this spoils them for you. I'm going to assume they do. So I might have to wait on this if that's the case, or I might go ahead and read it anyway, because I'm super fascinated by this particular idea of like going through the forensics of Agatha Christie. I also have Mrs. Sherlock Holmes by Radrika, which is a true story of Grace Hamilton, the lawyer, detective, and first a woman U.S. district attorney who turned her back on New York society life to become one of the nation's greatest crime fighters during an era when women were still not allowed to vote. So again, Mrs. Sherlock Holmes by Radrika. That is one that I'm highly interested in reading. This has been on my TBR for a very long time, so this is one of my read it or on haul ones for this year, and that is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I really loved The Death of Mrs. Westaway. It was one of my favorite books of the year. I read that years ago about this one. This is like, I've been on my TBR for years, and it is about it is a retelling of The Turn of the Screw. So it is about a woman who is a nanny, and something happens to the children that she is taking care of, and it's told like in perspective of her telling you what happened, or well, the detective, I guess, what happened. And it has something to do with a smart house too, I think. So into it. Let's read it this year. Let's read it this year, because otherwise it has to go. I'm gonna have to stick to that. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I put a pause on reading this, mostly because I think We had very different experiences with our mothers, of course. My mother was a wonderful person. Jeanette's wasn't. Her mother was pretty terrible. She was abusive and awful to her, and really just, it was horrific, I think, the things that her mother did to her. But I kind of wanted some space between my grieving and reading this particular book. And I think I have enough space now, and I really would love to read it. And I absolutely love the colors of this. I think this is such a brilliant book cover and brilliant colors. And I remember a lot of the interviews that Jeanette did right around this came out. And then now, of course, we had the Nickelodeon documentary that talked all about the abuse the kids at Nickelodeon, including Jeanette, underwent. And it's so much. So yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one on my I want to read. Next, I have a book called The Silence of Bones by June Her. This is set in 1800 Korea. It is about a indentured servant. Her name is, gosh, what is her name? Seol is her name. She's indentured. She's an indentured servant to the police department. And so she ends up having to be she's partnered up with a police detective, and they become friends. And there is the murder of a society lady, and he becomes one of the suspects. So she has to work to figure out if he did it. If he didn't do it, she has to work to clear his name. So my best friend read this and said it was really, really great, and I want to put it on my list to read as a good mystery thriller type of deal. Then this is another one of mine read it on haul books for this year, and that is going to be Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. This is a retelling of Jane Eyre, where Jane is a killer of really bad men. So she's sort of a serial killer who killed terrible men. And this is another one that was recommended to me by my best friend. I have a lot of those. I should make a video of reading the books that April recommended me. So yeah, and just the premise itself sounds amazing. I just haven't got around to reading it, but I shall this year. Otherwise, it's got to go. Next, I'm going to do the bones up here first. No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is another one that has been on my TBR for 100 years. Probably not that long. I didn't get it right when it came out. It's probably been a couple of years. But the premise of this one, if you haven't heard, is about a woman who is on a road trip and stops at this diner. In the parking lot of the diner, she sees a child that is in the back of the backseat of a car in distress. So this child has been kidnapped, and inside the diner, the person who kidnapped her is there, but there's also like a snowstorm that occurs. So then she's stuck in that diner with those people, and she has to figure out who did it and how to help rescue the child. I think that's the basic premise of it. So I think there's also a movie. So if I can finish reading it, or when I finish reading it, not if I can, when I finish reading it, I'm definitely going to go ahead and, I'm sorry, I'm out of, hi, I'm going to read that, watch that film as well. The next one I have is called The Mall and the Pear Tree. It is a true crime story by P.D. James and T.A. Critchley. So this is a true crime account of a serial killer in 1819 in London. It's called the Radcliffe Highway Murders. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Radcliffe Highway Murders, a series of vicious crimes committed in 1811. So, like, apparently this particular serial killer would hang his victims. It was pretty vicious. And there was just, like, just random. Nobody knew why he picked his victims. He would kill a few at a time, which is interesting. And it's P.D. James and T.A. Critchley going through all of the accounts and sort of trying to figure out what happened and sort of recreating it for the reader. P.D. James is one of my favorite mystery writers. She's called the Queen of Mystery. I know people say Agatha Christie is, but P.D. James was a rival of Agatha Christie, and I actually like P.D. James more. love Agatha. Well, I don't. I like she's good. But I am hit and miss with Agatha. But I've loved so far all of P.D. James' work because I adore the Adam Dalgliesh series that she has. So I'm really excited to see her work on a true crime account and see how that is. Next, I have, oh shoot, one of my most anticipated sequels, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. This is the sequel of The House in the Cerulean Sea. Is it in the Cerulean Sea? Yes, The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. That book made me so happy reading it. It's so warm and beautiful and lovely, and I cried, and I just love that book. So I'm really, really excited to read this. It continues the story, but I think you get more of a background. Sorry, that was Bonnie. You get more of a background on Arthur, I think, and more of what happened to him and what's going to happen to him, and a little bit more about the kids. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to this. I'm sure I'm gonna love that book. I love the first one so much. The next one I have is for one of my newest favorite authors, and that's T. Kingfisher, A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. What I do know about this, because I tried to keep myself as spoiler free as I can, is that this is a retelling of the fairy tale The Goose Girl. So that's all I know. That's all I really want to know. The cover is gorgeous. What can you see? Oh, you can see something reflective. What is that? Gorgeous. Yeah, and I really, really, really love it. So I love this cover. I love T. Kingfisher. I've been really getting into her, and just she's an author that she's like a will buy kind of author for me. You know, I will buy all her stuff. I will read all her stuff. The next one that I have is actually a memoir. It's The Sum of Our Days by Isabel Allende. Isabel Allende is my favorite Latinx author, and this is the memoir of her grief journey after her daughter Paula died when she was fairly young, and what Isabel did to sort of come to terms with that. And it's just about their relationship and how one stays is a mother when your child is still gone, and it's just a lot of her grief went into this book, and I am very much looking forward to following her journey through that. So here wants to say hi. What's going on? You want to say hi to everybody? Say hello. Say hello. Hi, honey. Everything okay? Oh, what's going on? I gotta finish. Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the kiss. Thank you for the kiss. Mwah. All right. Come on. Let me finish. I'm almost done. Okay, the next one. He's just staring at me. The next one I have is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is one of my favorite books that I own. I love literally the cover of this. I love the end pages of this. I love the inside cover of this. This is such a gorgeous book. I love Erin Morgenstern. She wrote one of my favorite books, The Night Circus. And I've been afraid to read this because I know, according to people that I know that read it, it's really amazing. Some people didn't love it as much as they loved The Night Circus. Some people loved this more than the Night Circus, or didn't really love The Night Circus, but really loved this. I love The Night Circus, so it could be either way, I guess, for me. But I kind of been putting it off because I'm afraid to read it, but I got to do it this year because it has been on my shelves for a very long time, and I miss her writing. And she tends to write books every 7 or 8 years only. She's not very prolific, so you know, it could be a long time before she writes another book. So I should probably read this one, so I can get my fix of Erin Morgenstern. The next one I want to read is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, which is set in the 90s, about this housewife who joins a book club, and she gets a new neighbor, and he is more than likely a vampire. So she has to nobody believes her. So it's her sort of trying to convince people this man is a flippin' vampire and we have to do something about it. And I do hear it's very creepy and there's some extremely actual like creepy parts. And this is true because my best friend's exorcism has some extremely just visually messed up parts in it when I remember reading it. And I love Grady Hendrix because the humor in his books are amazing. The characters always make me like laugh even if you don't like them, and like the horror is just so over the top and I love it. It's like reading a B movie. It's like a B horror movie, but in print. I love it so much. So I'm excited to actually read this one because I want to continue to the next ones that he has. And I refuse to buy any more. Well, I have another one of his, so I refuse to read any more until I've read that one. The next one I have is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have not read any Silvia Moreno Garcia, but I have like... Sorry, Sawyer was doing something. I had to pause. I've not wanted to read anything until I read Mexican Gothic. I know there's the big one where she just really came to everybody, and she's written amazing stuff. And I have a couple of her other books after this. And I want to get into my Silvia Moreno Garcia era this year. And so I plan to read some of her books, if not all of the books I own of her. Maybe I make a vlog about it. I don't know. But I'm going to start with Mexican Gothic, and hopefully I can read it in the next few months. If not, I will read it by the end of the year for sure. Next on my list is A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I know how much everybody loves this one. I've been wanting to read it. I love cozy books, and this is supposed to be a cozy, lovely book. Found family, just adorableness, like a lovely romance. And I am trying to find where in the spectrum of romance my romance era is. I adore queer romance. It's something that I do read. But I also have like just romance in general. I want to read, different types of romance and see where I fall into it. I used to be a big historical romance girly when I was super young. And so where do I fall now? We'll find out. But this is a cute little fantasy romance, not a romantasy, but like a fantasy that has a lovely little romance in it. So yes, getting to that this year. I would like to also begin my journey with R.F. Kuang. I am going to read Babel this year, an arcane history, which is, I guess it's dark academia technically, I suppose. I mean, it is academia, about the Society of Linguistics, I think. And I think it's a mystery. I'm not 100% sure, but I know people love this so much. And I want to give it a go. Next, I would like to do Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I plan to do a lot of Sanderson reading. I will have a vlog or a video coming up where I talk about some series that I want to finish. One of them is the Final Empire series, or the Mistborn series. So yeah, there's a lot of Sanderson I would like to get into, but I would definitely want to read this one, top of the list, Trust of the Empire Sea, because it's sort of what if Princess Bride was Buttercup saving Wesley, and it's got pirates in it, and it has like found family, and it's supposed to be so much fun, and I am here for that fantasy. The next bit I have, this stack's getting really tall. All right, I'm gonna pull the ones from the floor first. Here we go. These are the last few that I have. Let me start with another one that is been on my list forever, and I guess I'm gonna have to hold myself to the read or unhaul, even though I really love this author, and that would be One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I've not read anything other than Red, White, and Royal Blue. I adore Red, White, and Blue, Royal Blue, one of my favorite books, and I guess it's another one. I'm always afraid that the next one's not gonna be good and I won't like it, and it makes me fearful of reading it, but I gotta get over that. So I've got to read this one. I think it has to do with the time traveling. If there's a time traveling, one of the people is stuck in a time loop maybe, or something, and they're from the 70s, and then it's a sapphic romance, which yay, I think has bisexual representation, which yay. So I need to get just over myself and read it. Next is one that I just found this year, and it sounds so much like that kind of book I would read when I was young, that I was so like, oh my God, I just loved the synopsis of this and the cover of this, and I'm just so excited to read it. It's The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Long, and Leong by Julie Leong, and it is about a girl who reads, like, can read the future. She's like fortune teller. She has the ability to tell your fortune, but she doesn't use it for anything, just small things, because she doesn't want people to like, she doesn't want to blow back on like the fortunes. And so she's very lonely, and then she runs into a group of people who are on a quest to find a lost little girl, and they kind of rope her into it, and she becomes this, like, they become her family, and they go on this adventure, and there's like a magical cat. I don't know if he's a talking cat. Slightly magical cat. And there's a baker with a need for adventure. This is super cute. Ex-mercenary, reformed thief, her, the baker, and then the slightly magical cat all go together on a quest to find this child that is missing or lost. So this sounds so like the kind of books I would read, like the Tanya Huff that I would read when I was a child. When I was younger. I say it like a child. When I was younger. So happy for this one. Next, I have Emily Wild's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. I adored Encyclopedia of Fairies. Adored it. Like, it got me wanting to read fantasy more. I've never been a big fan of like fae lore. Like, I'm not big in fantasy that has a lot of like fae like stories or fae lore, but oh my God, did I love that book, and I am looking forward to going back into this and just being in this world with Emily and just enjoying the heck out of it. My biggest thing was with the first one, obviously the epistolatory, like, way it was written as diary entries, and I am a huge fan of stories that are epistolatory, that are written as like diary entries or letters or emails or whatever. So yeah, cannot wait. Gonna have to read it next month because the third one comes out, and I should probably have this read before that third one comes out. So yes. All right. Another one, cozy, excited for, Legends and Lattes. Still haven't read it. Travis Baldree. And I know how lovely this is. I know Viv is an ex, like, assassin, maybe mercenary, something like that. She decides to retire and doesn't want to deal with it. Opens up this like cafe bakery thing. There's a lovely romance with one of her people there, and it's just supposed to be all cozy and lovely and just wraps you up in a little warm blanket, and I'm looking forward to that whenever I get to it, which should be soon. This just came out last year, so I don't feel so bad that I haven't read it yet, but this is one of my favorite authors, so I should have gotten to it. But anyway, The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Katherine Arden. My favorite historical fantasy was written by Katherine Arden. It was the Winter Night trilogy. And it literally one of my favorite, like, it is my favorite historical fantasy. So I want to read this so badly. I know that people that have read it said it's so good. So again, that trepidation of not liking it as much as I want to like it, but again, I'm gonna have to get over that. So here we go. This is the time. I cannot let this go any further than this year. Two more left. I have Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, which is sort of, I don't want to say inspired, but it's sort of inspired by events that happened in the 70s, a specific serial killer. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to give that person any kind of flippin' attention or clout. But it is, some girls killed in the dorms in college. And I think it's the story of one of the girls that survives. And then there's another, so I think it's two point of view. One of the girls that survives, and then another girl who's trying to find justice. And there's a court trial, and it's supposed to be amazing. The Bright Young Women title is off of what a judge said to that particular serial killer about wasting, hating to have seen such a bright young man wasting his life, or something just absolutely ridiculous, instead of just being like, you're a horrible person, please die. So anyways, cover again. I love it. I don't know. I love the yellow and pink kind of like, this is gorgeous. Again, cover. Really looking forward to reading this. Weirdly looking forward to reading this. The last one I have is The Lovely War by Julie Berry. Julie Berry. I think this takes place during World War I, and it is about two couples, and sort of how they get to Bonnie. I'm sorry, hold on. Sorry, I got distracted again. Lovely War by Julie Berry. It is a historical, I think, romance. It takes place during World War I. It's two couples who meet during World War I. I'm thinking displaced, from torn apart maybe through it, and so it's dual timeline too, sort of. It's two stories. It's their story, and then it is Ares and Aphrodite. So Aphrodite is telling Ares the story of these people. Oh shoot! Oh my gosh, everything just falling everywhere today. Aphrodite is telling the story to Ares because I think she's trying to prove that love conquers war. And so it's sort of their narrative, that them and that storyline, while simultaneously telling the second storyline. I think it's the concept of the book or the premise of the book. So yeah, I really like this cover a lot. And I really hope I like this one. I do feel like it has to be one of those that if I don't read it, I should probably just let it go. I've had it a while. I don't know. So, yes. All right. Well, that's the last of my books. That was 25 books I would like to get read in 2025. I hope I get it done because I would be sad if I didn't and I had to unhaul any of these books. I might read it and DNF it anyway. Like, I gotta get on it. Like, I may not like these books, so get it, girl. You gotta get on it. So I will be doing that. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. It's going to be fun to try to read all these. Hopefully I can. And I will talk to you guys very soon. I hope you have a great week. Please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you have on your 25 to read in 2025. Do you have any of the same books that I have? And if you've read any of these books and want to recommend to me which one to read first, these books, please do so in the comments. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.